I can admit that I went through hell, but it's super rewarding because I never gave up. I didn't want to quit. I didn't want to quit unless it was like physically impossible for me to continue on. I didn't care how fast or how slow I was. I wanted to come back and try to like prove myself wrong. I wanted to finish because I love swimming. It's literally probably my main identity. Like every time I identify myself, I'm like, oh, I'm a swimmer. So I was jumping and I was really high in the air, kind of hit my bounce weird and shanked off to the right, threw it, but over-rotated. So instead of a forward tuck, I did a forward 1.5 straight into the hard mat off to the right and instantly blacked out. And the only reason I know exactly what happened is because there was a replay screen right there. And it was kind of scary the way it looked. Like I landed straight on the base of my skull and crushed 9 vertebrae right there on an instant.
It was pretty miraculous, actually. I mean, she's really lucky, first of all, because she should have been paralyzed. So for her to not only not be paralyzed and be able to live a fairly normal life, but also come back to Division I competition is pretty amazing. We kind of thought she would be done after about a month of trying it, just because the first month was so hard, and she really wasn't able to swim very long. There's a lot of emotions with it, and you know, as an athlete, knowing that you might not get back to where you were before is something that'll just end people's careers. It was an uphill battle. It was very long. It was a long season for her. You know, it took her a while to even complete a full practice, but that was expected and we understood it. And she's had lots of therapy that she's had to do on her traps and her shoulders and her back just to get herself to a place where she can get through an entire practice without a ton of pain.
She'll go through training and she'll have a good day where her neck is feeling good, her back is feeling good, so she can train nice and hard, but the next day she'll be all sore and it'll hurt a lot, and so it's just like this constant fluctuation between feeling good and feeling bad, and it's like, oh, you're getting your hopes up, like, oh, everything's gonna be okay, but then kind of goes back down. And
yeah, there were a few doctors that maybe didn't tell me straight up I couldn't swim again, but they suggested that, yeah, they were probably like, you shouldn't be active. And they were concerned that I would be developing severe arthritis by like the age of 30. But I went home in July and decided to redshirt my junior year. And that was the season coming up. And it was a really hard decision whether or not I even wanted to come back.
I think she did pretty well. I think the hardest thing for her wasn't even about the pain tolerance. I think it was more of, will I ever be the same swimmer? And I think that that's something that anybody who has an injury deals with, especially an injury that took you out of your sport for so long. So for her, being out of the water for 6 months and then taking another 6 months to even get back into full training mode.
It's not only the physical battle, but the mental battle that she's had to overcome.
You know, after a couple of her first races, even some stuff that we did fast off the blocks in practice, she wasn't anywhere near where she used to be, and I think that was more of the mental battle for her.
Other people don't really understand, that constant kind of agony that she's in sometimes, and for her to have that motivation to get up and go to practice and do all these different things and pretty much just try to put all that pain and all that other stuff behind her and just to try to live the normal life that she's living, I think is one of the bigger things that she's overcome. So I'm really proud of that.
Basically, after my red shirt until now, I've had the most frustrating, depressing, and like mood swinging type days, basically. So one day I'll feel really good, and the next day I'll go to class and I'll sit in class for 5 or 6 hours throughout the day, and I get these really bad cervicogenic migraines, which are just like these massive tension headaches, but they completely debilitate me, and to the point where like I might have to take a few days off of swimming. So this past year has been pretty difficult just because I didn't know what events I would be able to swim anymore, and I didn't know if I would even be able to compete. Didn't know if I was going to make the travel team, and so I was blowing away people's expectations of me, but at the same time, like, all that I kept thinking about was, well, I'm not as fast as I used to be.
I think she never gave up on herself. I think that she totally could have walked away from the sport and just taken the medical red shirt, had school paid for, and just walked away. And been done with swimming altogether, but instead she said she was going to fight for it. She, halfway through the season, she was putting up times that were faster than what she had put up before she injured herself. So I think that determination was really what set her apart.
Even though I am doing better and I'm proving people wrong, I'm still not proving myself wrong. Like, I still believe I can do better, and I'm never satisfied. And I think that's what my biggest problem was this year, was because I let the pain get to me. I let everything get to me instead of just being like so thankful that I was back. Swimming basically saved me from being paralyzed because I was so strong in my shoulders that when the initial injury happened, the initial trauma, I think my muscles basically just held me together. So I'm not a scientist, but a lot of people were like, "You're a strong girl, like you're lucky," and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm very lucky." But most of me just believes that I truly experienced a miracle. It's pretty life-changing. Even though I'm still able to walk, my life has changed, complete 180.